Hello and welcome back. This is the finals of the Legacy Win a Moat event. I'm Graham King and I'm joined here by Stephen Stamopoulos on commentary. We have here Kevin Ewan's Esper Stoneblade list and he is competing against Joe Carrigan's Death and Taxes.
It's quite nice that we've finally come to a tournament here at Juno Games that hasn't been combo in the finals. We've got a fair deck mirror and it's not check pile mirror. It's Esper Stoneblade and Death and Taxes. Really decks from a past era. We've got, Esper Stoneblade was really the top deck in about what, 2012, 2011?
Yep.
And now, Death and Taxes has sort of fallen out of favor a little bit, but here we are. Kevin, after his really quite impressive performance against Lands, I was doing production for that one. I thought there was no way he was gonna pull that one out.
Got there anyway though.
But we got there. So I believe Joe's on the play. He's the higher seed. So we've got a Plains and a Eighth File. That's a Chalice of the Void main deck?
That is...
that's three Chalice of the Voids in the main deck.
Yes, it is. So a few interesting choices in this particular Death and Taxes.
Yeah, there's a main deck Containment Priest that blew out Reanimator quite well.
There is 4 main deck Cavern of Souls.
And there's no removal at all. There's not even a dismember. It's just no sorts of plowshares. There's 2 main deck Council's Judgment. That's actually pretty spicy.
Sure. So we've got the Chalice on 1, which is why you don't have the...
so we see the Chalice on 1 resolve, which is a big game against Kevin. And to add insult to injury, what do you draw, of course, after Chalice? Sorts of plowshares.
I mean, as far as Stoneblade decks go, this is fairly varied in terms of the mana cost. We've only got the 2 Ponder, 4 Brainstorm, 4 Swords to Plowshare, and everything else is across the spectrum for the most part. So he still has some game, but it's definitely not where he wants to be either.
Mercifully, he's got his own answers as well. He's got Energy and Explosives, Council's Judgment of his own in the main deck. So if it becomes a problem, he can answer them. Although I think he can quite safely... Joe's playing 4 Cabinet Souls, is that correct, in the main deck? So
yes,
I guess Joe can put his own Mother Runes into play through that, but for now, he'll be stuck casting 2 drops.
Yeah, so has he got a True Name in hand? Is that what we're going for here? Just firing all cylinders from the get-go?
I think that would be the optimal play, although I see a Stoneforge Mystic and a Batterskull in hand, which means that for once, it's quite good to have the 2 equipment in hand, so you can go Stoneforge into Sword of Fire and Ice, then put Batterskull in, then put the Sword of Fire and Ice onto the Batterskull, and
nobody ever recovers.
Yeah, no one recovers from that. All right, so we see a True Name Nemesis from Kevin, probably naming Joe as the chosen player.
He's going to think on it a little bit, and he goes with Joe.
so we see the Stoneforge Violed in. I predict, and I think Joe knows what he's doing, we're going to go see a Sword of Fire and Ice.
So
Joe mulling it over.
It's a better option over the Jitte in this case?
Yeah. Without the Jitte, without the Sword of Fire and Ice, Batterskull won't connect, and we'll have a standoff of sorts. I'm not sure which nationality. Maybe it's a Greek standoff or a Mexican standoff. But we'll have a standoff between True Name Nemesis and Batterskull.
Mexican standoffs where both people lose, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so. What would you call a Greek standoff?
Well, I know that they're both losing because none of them are playing goblins. Right. So they're definitely both losing on that front. If they were both
neither of them playing a Death Ride either, so goblins might have a chance here.
Death and Taxes is a hard matchup for goblins, but Esper Stoneblade is pretty favoured for goblins. Although, how many True Names has he got main deck?
4.
4. Okay, so
4 True Names.
Not so. And he's got a Jitte, so not so favoured then. All right, so we see a Wasteland picked up from Joe. No, that's been in play for a little while. We just need this. Is that?
So this is.
That's another. That is a Wasteland. Now
Wow.
I don't know that I like this.
You don't? So you think he should be able to just hardcast the equipment?
Not hardcast, just he can put in the Batterskull and then put in the Sword of Fire and Ice and connect it at the same time.
Well, I think he could have just played the Sarah Angel that turn anyway.
He's got a Sarah Avenger.
Sarah Avenger, that's the one. Not Sarah Angel, that's 5 cost.
Yeah. So it looks like Joe's had one of those games where
everything's going his way.
Yeah, it's all coming up Millhouse. So we're going to see an attack here for 7. Vigilant too, so you just have to tap on your creatures and sort of shove them forward a little bit. Or we can even attack for 8.
Thinking about it, but I think you'd just prefer to put the Sword of Fire and Ice in play.
We know what Kevin has in his hand. He's being quite secretive. I don't think he likes his. Don't think he likes his odds. How's that? You beat Lands in the semi-finals 2-0, and then you lose to Death and Taxes with main deck Chalice of the Void.
I would be so confused if I was on the other side of the table to that Death and Taxes board. Like, he's not playing, because, like, I've seen it in the Stompy build, which has, like, Ancient Tombs and the 3-cost Thalia in it, but this is just,
So Joe goes up.
Feels weird.
Joe also gains 4 life.
So, leaning heavily on the basics here, interestingly enough, but doesn't really have that much he can do.
I don't think there's much he can do in general. All of his card manipulation sources are...
Yep, so we've got 11 damage exactly on the board, so just one swing for lethal, all in the air.
Equip the Sword of Fire and Ice to the Stoneforge Mystic.
Equip the Sword of Fire and Ice to the Batterskull.
Don't you want to give him more? Give him maximum damage. Maximum damage, Graham.
Well, the Batterskull doesn't have flying, so it just gets blocked by the true name.
Sure, okay. I missed that one.
So you give it Pro Blue and you've got
This
exact
is why
six.
I can't win any games of Magic. I attack my Batterskull into a true name. Alright, so it's attack for
so
6
it's 6
and then
plus
8.
2 and then 3 from the Sarah, and that's lethal.
How rude is that? Joe gets to draw extra cards, and Kevin...
As I kill you, I'm going to draw an extra card.
And the blue deck doesn't get to. And you know what? It doesn't get much better for Kevin, who's called his deck name Hot Shame in the Indoor Kites. I think that's tremendous. There's no disenchants. I mean, he's got the one Council's Judgment in the main.
Okay, so I'm not sure what just happened because Kevin didn't die there.
Because he was at 11.
Kevin's gone to 1. So we had the life totals a little bit wrong. I'm very sorry about that for anyone watching. But he's on 1, and we'll see if he can somehow make it into this game off this draw step.
Kevin thinking,
I do not believe that is the case.
Kevin thinking, man, I'd love to have this card in my deck as well. So another true name, not going to do it.
And packs it up.
All right, so you take Esper Stoneblade. I've played more D&T than you, so give me that list.
Okay, so we're going to start off on Kevin's side. For the sideboard, we have 2 Flusterstorms, irrelevant, 1 Force of Will, probably coming out of the main deck anyway, a Hydroblast, 2 Meddling Mage. Meddling Mages are nice. 1 Pithy Needle, which I'd bring in, 2 Surgicals, 1 Sword of Feast and Famine, 1 Toxic Deluge, 1 Vapor Snag, 1 Vendilion Click, 1 Zealous Persecution. So I'd be bringing in the sweepers, the Toxic Deluge and the Zealous Persecution, the Pithing Needle. I think that's about all you really need, and then just take out the 3 Force of Wills and hope they're okay. The main problem is I usually like keeping in 2 Force of Will for the Aether Vial if I don't have another way to deal with it, and he doesn't really have that option. So you don't want them against the rest of the deck because Force of Will versus fair decks is never good, but he's
if you can snag, it's Force of Will's weird, right? If you can snag Aether Vial, it's really good. And if you don't snag Aether Vial, your Forces are just dead. That's
right. It's one of the reasons why I like playing the bug decks versus Death and Taxes is you can take the 4 Forces out and just focus on using your Abrupt Decays on the Aether Vials, which
discard an abrupt decay against Death and Taxes.
And just the way this deck's being built, it just doesn't have that option. So you're probably going to have to leave those in, unfortunately.
All right, so we'll look at Joe's interesting Death and Taxes list. So I've got 1 Gideon of Godhead of Awe. Sorry, so Godhead of Awe is a 5-mana 4/4 with flying that makes all other creatures 1/1s. So it's not humility; they still have their own abilities, but it makes Emrakul a 1/1 with Annihilator 6.
Okay. And so what size is that creature?
It's a 4/4.
It's a 4/4.
So it's pretty big.
Yep.
We've got 2 Gideon Alive Zendikar.
Yep.
I think you can make an argument for it. This is a grindy matchup. You want as many. I mean, if you assume that your hand's going to get disrupted, with only 3 Thoughtseize, it's perhaps not relevant or not too relevant. But again, it's all about slamming bombs. See, there's 2 Mages of the Moon, which I see Joe bring to the front. A Story Circle, which I have no idea what that card is.
I believe it's 1 and white enchantment. Pay you gain protection from the color of your choice. I believe that is.
I saw. Oh right, yes, this is the one. Yes, I saw this being played against lands, and they ended up drawing an unfortunate match. It's a card from 10th edition. The next time a source of your choice of the chosen color will deal damage to you, prevent that damage as long as you pay a white. So it's like cop. It's cop the color of your choice.
Yeah.
1 Sorceress Spyglass, but I think it's pretty interesting. 1 Oars of Pontiff, not the matchup for this. 1 Council's Judgment, I think you could justify that against the true names. Rest in Peace, no. Surgical Extraction, no. Sword Splashes, no. So I could see bringing in the 2 Gideons, the Magus of the Moon, and the Council's Judgment.
Yeah, so those are 4 Cavern of Souls for the 2 Magus and the Oars of Pontiff in the board.
I guess he's already got a main deck Council's Judgment, so...
Yeah, like, other than the 4... like, how many targets does the Swords of Plowshare have here that you want to be hitting?
It just doesn't... I mean, it doesn't hit anything, right? I mean, you can hit
3 Snapcaster.
Kevin's main deck Gideon. That's the best you'll ever get.
Yeah, and everything else is
Whereas hitting
Snapcaster.
Swordsing a Baleful Strix or Snapcaster, it just doesn't do anything. It's not where you want to be. One worry potentially for Joe is Kevin. True name decks are usually better GT decks. So you can say that Death and Taxes is a better Stoneforge deck, but true name decks are better GT decks. And
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
Death and Taxes is such a creature deck, maybe you do want to bring in the Sorcerer's Spyglass to name GT. You can even cut your own, actually, because that card's not great.
I mean, the Sorcerer's Spyglass wants to come in just to name Aether Vial, in all honesty.
Oh, no, this is from Joe's side.
Oh, from Joe's side. Oh, yeah, sure, sorry.
Maybe don't name it.
It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I do it all the time in Merfolk versus Death and Taxes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Play on my level.
So I can see we can cut the Containment Priest, the Mirroring Crusader, although that's a pretty good card in this matchup. The Palace Jailer, I'm not sure if that's where you want to be. Actually, no, you definitely don't want to be because you'll never connect. Anyway, so we see an Underground Sea into Thoughtseize, so you see the Magus of the Moon, Sword of Fire and Ice.
Wasteland, Thalia, Plains, Mum.
So this is a pretty stacked hand from Joe. There's a few interesting options. So we can't cast Magus of the Moon, but that obviously is a threatening card. But now that we know about it, we can aggressively fetch our many basics.
Yeah, like, my problem when I play against Death and Taxes is always Mother of Runes, just because it turns off the rest of my removal. Generally, I'm fine playing 1-for-1 with them once I've got rid of that.
Yep.
So I'd almost be tempted to take that, but it just really depends on where he wants to go with the next couple of turns as well.
Yeah, I guess the context of his hand really matters on whether he needs to take Thalia. He's got plenty of lands. In fact,
yeah, he's got
quite a few lands.
He's got 4 land and a ponder. That is not where I'd want to be in this particular matchup.
So perhaps he has to take the Mother of Runes.
Yeah, well, he can fetch basics, so he can play around the Mum at the moment, but...
He can play around the Magus, but he can't... The Mum's going to be an issue, yeah. And
he's leaning really, really heavily on that ponder, though. It's not where I would want to be.
Isn't that how you're supposed to play Legacy? You keep 6 lands Brainstorm?
You can... Why did I answer that?
All right, so we see a Chelsea picked up from Joe. That's pretty big.
Yeah, so he elects to not play the tempo game with Death and Taxes and leads on the Plains instead.
So another Thoughtseize, not a bad draw. We can ponder first, get some more information, and then Thoughtseize.
No, he elects to lead on the Thoughtseize.
We'll go
instead.
the other way around. So Kevin down to 16.
The Chalice of the Void first. Looks at these 5 cards he knows about and takes the one he doesn't.
It's interesting. If you took the Sword of Fire and Ice, then your true names would be live for the rest of the game.
It's interesting because, like, if he plays the Ponder, he doesn't actually have any 1-drops left in hand either, so, like, maybe just let the Chalice on 1 resolve.
All right, so we see Zealous Persecutions, which is huge. That is absolutely huge, given the context of the Phyrexian Revoker, Thalia. But the problem is the rest of the cards are just absolute bricks. He can draw the Force and shuffle after that, but then he doesn't have a blue card to pair with the Force. I think if this was a Brainstorm, you could justify keeping this hand, but definitely not with a Ponder. But he's
got the fetch land in hand, so we're gonna see draw whatever the second card is, followed up by the Zealous Persecution.
We see the Story Circle, one of the 2 brought in. So we see Thalia. I wonder if that's to name blue. It doesn't target, right? It's just the color of your choice.
Yeah, that's right. So it's the next time a source of the color of that color would deal damage. So it gets around a few things as long as he has white available to himself.
All right, so we're going to see an attack from Thalia. Kevin down to 14, but he's got the Zealous Persecutions ready for the blowout in case Joe does decide to play another creature.
And we've got the Revoker. No targets on board. What would you name blind with a Revoker in this case?
I would assume Deathrite Shaman if he doesn't know the list, although it doesn't. I don't think he has any, which is actually quite interesting, isn't it?
Well, it's Esper Stoneblade, not Esper Deathblade. So one of the old school.
Well, it's actually Hot Shame the Indoor Kites.
I apologize that I don't know how the deck is named. I would say you'd go for one of the equipment.
It'd be either like Jace the Mind Sculptor or
the Revoker is in this case naming Stoneforge Mystic.
So I don't know. I think it's always between Jite and Jason Mind Sculptor for me whenever I play Death and Taxes against Esper Stoneblade.
Okay. But it sounds like he's going for Stoneforge in this case.
I think it's an interesting choice given Kevin's... Wait, he doesn't know about Kevin's hand though, does he?
He doesn't know what's in his hand at all.
So
But he's not playing the teched out for Gitaxian Pro version of Death and Taxes that you play.
yeah, my Gitaxian therapy. Gitaxian Taxes. Now, Kevin playing with fire a little bit here. He's elected to go get a Scrublands instead of... Well, I guess he couldn't get a basic Plains. That's on the end step. That's fine. Okay, so we've got it. Is there a flooded... He picked up a Brainstorm, and he's got a Flooded Strand in hand. Okay.
Yeah, that's a
if we see
choice. Well, if maybe he's just trying to leverage the Zealous Persecution.
And if we saw Cavern of Souls, Magus the Moon, I think that would be the end of the game. Another Revoker.
Now we've got the blowout from the Zealous Persecution. It's an instant, so I don't know why it hasn't been cast yet.
Oh, you want to just... He's naming Jite with this one? Okay, so that's 2. About to be 0 Revokers. I don't think you're going to hold off any longer than this, right?
I don't think so. You really can't go into your turn again. And, like, you know about the Magus of the Moon there as well, so... There's no way that you can actually
I live for these blowouts in Magic. Pay one more, Kevin. There we go. ZP. I'm super excited about this card.
It has to be a minimum of 3-for-1 for you to even get out of bed for commentating it.
Well, at least Kevin's obliged. Although Kevin's done some damage to himself. He's down to 9 life already. It doesn't take many hits.
Yeah, well,
and a wasteland.
Now, lots of thought seizures on himself.
This is quite interesting, isn't it?
That is quite the tempo blowout.
And the top deck, Cavern of Souls.
The Cavern of Souls on human.
So.
And plays Thalia. Wow.
Okay, so we've got a basic Swamp and a basic Plains. We've got no blue sources left. And I don't like seeing this. They're
going for the Brainstorm lock.
It's in response.
Got a Snapcaster for Zealous Persecution again. Wow.
Unfortunately, it's just... He's going to get able to cast Magus of the Moon soon, and he's not going to be able to do anything. And he needs to draw one of those terrible cards back. I really would have just let this resolve and gone into my turn, drawn, and done the perfect Brainstorm, as they call it. One where you don't draw any more bad cards.
But what if all the cards in your hand are good, Stephen? What would you do then?
You don't Brainstorm then.
Ah, right.
Yeah, I've heard that's how you're supposed to do it.
Being taken lessons from AJ recently?
I'm trying to, because I don't think I know how to win a game of Magic anymore. All right, so we're going to go back to Kevin's upkeep. And here we go. We'll draw Pluto Delta. So really, we're in a quandary now for Kevin. Do we fetch the basic Plains or the basic Island if we get to if the Magus of the Moon comes down next turn, which it will if there's a land drawn. And
don't know what was drawn.
I believe that was a Mother of Runes. All right, so
okay.
Attack down to...
In that case, I think we're going for the Plains and the Snapcaster Zealous Persecution again.
So he's taking it down to 7. Does Joe... No, that was a Flicker Wisp. Okay. I think Kevin has to do something soon, though. He can try and live for the blowouts, but...
The problem is he just hasn't drawn any threats this game. He's been... he's been managed to interact with Joe, but there's nothing he can really do to push ahead once he's done the blowouts.
Yeah. I mean, I live for the blowouts, but you also want to live long enough to actually be able to win the game, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did Kevin just fetch...
He fetched a Tundra into the Gnome Blood Moon of Cavern of Souls.
I have a feeling that Kevin doesn't know that Cavern of Souls can cast. Unless he wants to... Yeah.
So it goes 1-for-1 with the Zealous Persecution.
Maybe he doesn't know that it's a human.
Don't know. Maybe he's just like, it's known information, but maybe he's just not playing around it.
Okay, so
Seems a little odd, I feel, if he's not.
let's see how long Snapcaster can go on the beatdown for.
But that is something like 7 lands in a row that he's drawn as well.
Yeah, he's unfortunately flooded out a bit this game. He doesn't have any outside of Jason Mind Sculptor and
Draws and plays
Balfour's
Chalice on one. Responds with a hard cast Force.
Okay. So the Story Circle's just rotting in his hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting card to bring in, although it must have been working for him all day because I'm sure he's doubtless played many True Name decks.
Yeah, like I would say so.
All right, so 3 mana, 4 mana. Is this? Well, this is True Name Nemesis, so this is good.
And this is where the story wants to be.
So it Council's Judgment.
Council's Judgment. Just getting punished on the land draws as well. This is a.
I assume it'd be 23 land, right? It's fairly certain. So we've got.
It's 23 land deck. So just like you feel you would have drawn something by this.
See, this is why you play Forge Attacks in your Death Taxes.
Just get to everything you want on the deck faster.
Yeah, exactly. You just draw what you want now. That's a basic planes drawn. So that's pretty big game from Kevin because it means he'll have basic planes and basic island if he needs it. Unfortunately, it doesn't really cast anything. It doesn't one basic island doesn't cast True Name, doesn't cast Jason Mindsculpt, doesn't cast Gideon.
Doesn't cast Council's Judgment.
Doesn't cast Council's Judgment. So another dead draw from Joe. Really, some unfortunate draws. We've seen some non-games, especially from. You were watching the Death and Taxes and Merfolk match that was in the semi-finals.
That was a stalemate that no one has ever seen before.
A grind fest for the ages, and now we're seeing
that can't be cast. Table Judge.
Why can't it be cast?
Because he cast it off of planes.
Okay, so we'll just. So we've
Should
got
be a quick rewind.
Underground Sea. There we go. So he just got confused with the basics. I don't blame him. And attack for 5. It's been a long day. It's just short of 6 o'clock now. We've been playing since 11 o'clock. So
the new lands are a little bit new, so we don't quite know what they look like yet.
Exactly.
The plains aren't white. The swamps aren't black.
So Kevin's got lethal on the next turn. Don't know that there's much you can do in the Stoneforge WoW. So I think this one's etched into stone at this point.
Yeah, just a land 5 turns ago just would have sealed it up for Joe, but we just didn't get there.
Legacy, huh? 1 draw, 1 win. 5 bad draws, no GG, no re. All right, so get the Jitte. Would you cast it? No reason
I
not
think
to,
so.
right?
There's no, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I go back to what I was saying before about the Chalice. He hasn't played a spell since then that has been affected by it. Like I'm not sure there was that much need. There's just enough ways to kind of play around it in your deck.
And Joe with an exasperated lean. He can cast anything he likes, and I don't think it'll make a difference. So assessing his options, maybe he can put Story Circle into play and then lose.
He can't put Story Circle into play. It's a double white card.
Of course it is. Yeah, I don't know about 4 Cabinet Souls and Death and Taxes. I appreciate. There was actually an interesting list that was it was called Mardu Taxes that didn't play Richard and Port and played 4 Cabinet Souls. And it had Magus of the Moon, 4 Chalice of the Void, and it was using Dismember, 2 Dismember as its removal spell. And it also had Oars of Pontiff. So, Mardu humans, something that we probably see more in Modern, where Cabinet Souls is more mana fixing than.
So he goes and gets an Oars of Pontiff with the Recruiter of the Guard. This turn, the Recruiter is going to block the Snapcaster Mage, assuming there's no removal from Joe's side, and he's going to swing in for 5 with what's on the board, leaving Joe on 1, seeing if he can stabilize.
Then Kevin can just pump. I don't know that I would have done that. I wouldn't have shown the Wars of Pontiff tech at this point in time. Like it seems like a huge, tremendously big. Now that's a weird place to put your Jitte.
Well, it's connecting regardless.
It's no more that I would just keep the counters to pump True Name in front of the about to come Oars of Pontiff. I mean, it doesn't matter, right?
Like we can move post combat though. This is just making sure that it gets counters, even though it doesn't really matter where it is for the counters.
Sure. I mean, I can dig that. Maybe the Snapcast Mage was the best place to put it then.
Yeah, that's fair.
And 2 counters.
It goes to kind of I mean, by doing it this way, it means that the flyer is the one that survives, and you can guarantee the damage. But True Name guarantees it a little bit more and moves it on there accordingly.
Yeah, the guy tapped out playing mono white doesn't have many options. You know, I mean, he could gut shot, I guess, the Balfour Strix.
That's true.
That
and,
would be a sick blowout. That would be a blowout to run out of bed for. Not just get out of bed, jump out of bed. A gut shot on a Balfour Strix carrying each day. Next turn, stabilize with an Oars of Pontiff. Oh my god, imagine that.
Once again, finding your 7-for-1s where you can get them.
Yeah, exactly. I live that life of value. All right, so Kevin, excited shake of the head there, reaffirming himself in this at the 11th hour. We can get there. It's been a bit of a, unfortunately, 2 non-games. I hate that. Every finals we always have, it's always like a non-game whenever I'm commenting, doing the commentary. Sorry. Let's see if we can pull it back. So I think Joe should look to cutting perhaps the 2 story circles. He's got 3 Council's Judgment. The Godhead of War, okay, if you want, you know, to stop the True Names.
Yeah, 1/1 True Names seem okay, but it's also, how much does it cost? Is it a 5 cost?
Yeah, it's all hybrid blue or white.
Okay.
So
5
you're
white
looking
mana.
you're looking to Aether Vial that in or have mini caverns set to whatever Godhead of War is.
So Vial followed by Flicker Wisp on Vial, so that you don't have to have it on 5.
Yeah, you'll have to vial. You have to put it in, and then use your other Aether Vial to reset the other one at 5, or you Flicker Wisp to reset the other one. We're going deep on a card that I don't even think is very good. Godhead of War, interesting. I don't know. He's made it to the finals, and I think I'm 3-15 or something the last 2 weeks of playing Legacy. So what do I know, huh?
We'll see. Well, I made a top 4 with Food Chain over the weekend, and I really wish I'd run it back for this event.
You played Honda Civic Delver, did you?
I played Honda Civic Delver. What were you on today? Did you play?
No. I've just been practicing my producing. So our faithful producer Scott decided that he might want to have a Saturday to spend with his wife. So
I don't think we should allow that again.
No, I don't think either. I've been trying this Esper Delver list that a fellow by the name of Max Gilmore in the States wrote a primer on the Saltmine website.
Okay.
You can see that at the saltminesite.com. And it's tremendous. I mean, I've been playing my normal Tombstalker True Name list that we've seen a few times on coverage here, and it's just been dying to Diabolic Edict after Diabolic Edict after Diabolic Edict. And the Esper Delver looks at playing Lingering Souls and True Name Thoughtscour. So you can
So
go
we're going wide.
You can go wide and go tall, and it has Source to Plowshares to do with Marit Lage, which is very popular in the room.
Like in terms of the Marit Large combo, how much is the life gain negatively impacting you? Are you able to get through the damage fast enough?
Well, I haven't played it to find out, but I assume Gurmag Angler just bashes in enough increments. Also, that deck's pretty slow. You have to disrupt it once to be able to Surge Cool their graveyard, and then it's fairly straightforward from there.
It looks like Joe's just having a quick check of his sideboard again, wanting to make sure that he is going to present the right deck for the second game.
All right, so I see some Council's Judgment in there.
Which were, as we said earlier, already in the main deck. We'll just see if they're the third.
How do you feel about Numa's Jute in this matchup?
I think it's good for Kevin. Not sure if it's as good for Joe, though.
Yeah, I think if I was Joe, I'd be thinking about cutting that. You know what? This is not. I've had this problem where you over meta game for a certain meta game, and then you play against an oddball deck from the year of 2012, and your cards don't really line up well.
Let's be honest here. I played decks from 2007. Thank you very much, Stephen.
What's your favorite deck from 2007? Why isn't it Goblins?
Well, Goblins is a terrible deck.
No, it's not. Goblins is the greatest legacy deck.
I would say like my favorite legacy deck is still Blue Lands.
Blue Lands.
No win condition.
No win. What? Just your opponent conceding?
Your opponent conceding because...
Or is it like one of the many manland beatdowns in there? Like, what's the white one? It's like a 1/5 or something.
No, you play a Creeping Tar Pit.
No, that kills too quickly. Right, so
That's your only manland in the deck, though.
A Cavern of Souls on human and a Mother of Runes, so Kevin will be put to the test fairly quickly.
Well, he does have those 2 sweepers, but he definitely doesn't have them in hand this time, by the look of it.
So we're going to go on the Wasteland plan, which... Wow, looks like he got him. He's got many lands in hand and another Mother of Runes. Although he's got a lot of lands in hand.
He's got 3-land Thalia, so hoping those ones do some things.
Now, I thought these would be big game here.
Cabal Therapy would be a big game here.
We see a Caracas picked up. Do you want to play it? There's no days, of course you would. All right, so Mother Runes beatdowns. Oh, I love this. Normally, Mum's the no attacks, no blocks creature.
Does nothing ever.
No, just sits there. All right, so Thoughtseize. Going to look at an empty hand.
Okay, we do have a Toxic Deluge in hand, so that's going to do some work in 2 turns time.
All right, so we're going to see a Baleful Strix, draw a card. I love watching Kevin play. He doesn't play often, but when he does, I feel like he just plays things very well. I would have been too tempted to go with Thoughtseize there. But he just wants to get ahead, and then he'll wipe it all up with the Toxic Deluge. Now, Richard and Port going to muddle the mixture just a little bit, but he's got plenty of lands to get through. Well, the Toxic Deluge means he has to get to 5 lands. He's only on 2 at the minute. So between the Port and Thalia attacks, where he's a fair way away from being able to actually block.
He needs to make it to about 5 mana.
Yeah. Luckily, he's got all the lands in hand for that. And the beatdowns are pretty slow, 2 a turn.
Yeah, it looks like Joe's just wanting to confirm exactly what the Baleful Strix does, just because it's a full art, but it has flying and it has Death Touch.
So,
artifact creature and a bird.
Who would win, a 5/5 Delve Demon or an artifact owl?
An artifact bird.
Stupid card. All right, so is a 2 mana Thought says we're going to look at a hand of blanks. Joe disgustedly throws it down.
And now Kevin is just digging for those lands. If he can get that Toxic Deluge down, it may even just wipe Joe out of this game.
What's Kevin got? He's got a Brainstorm in hand, I'm sure. Now, a top decked, no Cavern of Souls, no red sources either.
Force, Deluge, Fetch, Stoneforge, True Name Nemesis.
Okay, so his hand's actually pretty good.
He's got the 2 lands. And he's got to be feeling good about the fact that he's got those, because it means we can eventually get to a point where he's taking the game away again.
Now, Toxic Deluge and True Name Nemesis is not a great combo.
It is not a great combo. I feel like you wouldn't play the True Name Nemesis if you're aggressively going for the Toxic Deluge plan.
I wonder why we're playing it. Perhaps it's to sweep up all the other elves then. That's normally where you see it.
Well, the Toxic Deluge is the sideboard card. It's just like, sometimes you need to do it even though it can be detrimental to yourself, though.
The bird. The bird is the word. That's another Baleful Strix.
The Baleful Strix theme song.
Should we just get Stoneforge, Jite, put it on a bird, Jite it up?
That sounds like it would be painful for Joe right now.
Legacy is weird. A lot of people think of it. People that are new to the format think of it as a very fast turn 1-ish sort of format. And then when you watch matches like this, you think, you know what, this is just a draft fight. This is like stats like flying are going to be the most important thing in this.
So when we're drafting our legacy decks, we should be thinking bombs, removal, evasion, attack, defense.
I think we should go with evasion. How about Baleful Strix does everything? It draws a card, it kills a Tombstalk without even trying.
Yep.
Right? And it flies. So you can get past Mother Runes and Thalia with your Jite.
Sounds good.
No, it's not. It's horrific.
It's horrific.
Why does it have to fly?
Because otherwise it wouldn't be playable.
I think it'd be very playable.
But that's the thing. We still have our bombs, we have our Grizzlebands, we have our Emrakles, and then we have a removal spell on a bird.
Was that another... That wasn't another Mother Runes, was it? I really
don't. It was another Mother of Runes, and it's got a Council's Judgment now. So,
so
Jite is, I feel, going to be destroyed the moment it hits the board by that Council's Judgment.
Now the other thing, you can't. You cannot justify Council's Judgmenting right now, can you?
I think you Council's Judgment the Jite.
Yeah, there's no way you can Council's Judgment anything else. Now.
Okay, that's an interesting play. He chooses to Richard and Port the fetch land, which is something that I would usually only do if I'm trying to aggressively wasteland the next thing that they play. It's interesting that Kevin's going aggressively for the non-basics as well, especially since he knows that there's Magus of the Moon on the other side of the board.
I mean, he's a tremendous player. We've seen him get through almost impossible situations before today. I'll have to talk to him about it. Maybe he just doesn't respect it. Just doesn't worry about it at all.
Because Joe's going to be in a comfortable position with 3 planes if he 3 match planes, I should say, if he does choose to go ahead with that.
Yeah, the old border plane is very expensive, so I don't fault him for not having you know multiple copies of that.
So goes to Jide, swings in for 1 and kills. What would you kill first?
Well,
the Mum and the Thalia, or both of them?
Well, because of the Caracas, you can't properly target Thalia.
Okay.
So
well, you can. It just takes 2 counters.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. Normally, if you were Kevin, if I was Kevin, I would target 1 Mother of Runes, 1 Thalia. If there was no Caracas.
Yep.
Because of the Caracas, I'm not even going to bother targeting Thalia. I've got plenty of land, so it's not really an issue. And now he's going to be punished for that because he'll be able to keep a Mother of Runes. And he was Council's Judgment. In response, Kevin will kill a Mother.
Mm.
And then where does that leave Joe with the Thalia against a opponent with multiple lands in hand?
Yep.
So we see a Revoker. That's an interesting draw. I assume it will get Force of Will though. If he wants to go for it. And then if he can't do Revoker and Council's Judgment on the same turn, so really it doesn't matter what he does. No, he can because he can play a land, of course.
It looks like he's just confirming exactly what the Jide and Kevin's deck does in opposition to the one in Joe's deck. And we're getting a quick judge call.
It's going to ask about the Balfour Strix, I believe. Certainly tough times ahead for Joe. Although Kevin is at 10, so a Sword of Fire and Ice could steal this.
Yeah.
A draw of Mirren Crusade into Sword of Fire and Ice could just get there.
So Joe has 2 cards in hand which deal with the Jide on the board. So the Ether Vial, not the Ether Vial, the Revoker and the Council's Judgment. But if he goes with the Revoker line, one of his creatures dies, and then the rest of his creatures dies off Kevin's Toxic Deluge anyway.
Yeah, and then Kevin's got a Force of Will for a follow-up Council's Judgment. And then True Name, and that's it. Once True Name starts getting counters on it, it's fairly hard to come back.
Yeah, so I think the question was, what happens if my first strike creature hits the creature equipped with Jite?
Right.
And the answer is that Jite does not get counters out of that.
Well, unless it's a 5/5 Tombstalker that the 2/1 runs into. So we're going to see a Force of Will on the Phyrexian Revoker.
Losing the Strix.
And now we're going to see a Council's Judgment take out the Imzal's Jite. So nicely done by Joe, nicely navigated there. I think he's been able to get the most out of this. Interesting, he didn't just let it resolve, but I guess he can cast another Stoneforge, get another Batterskull. Batterskull on True Name. Have you ever played that fight with goblins?
I have not particularly tried that.
I once attacked with a 12/2 pile driver through it. And it didn't matter because he just blocked one of my other ones and gained 7 life.
Can't be nice. Isn't that where you go infinitely wide with your Krenko instead?
I don't play Krenko. I know.
I thought you'd gotten lessons on how to play goblins off Jimbo.
Jimbo. Well, yeah. I mean, his first lesson, step 1 from Jimbo from General Games. Draw 4 cards of Goblin Ringleader. So the first time I cast Goblin Ringleader, I drew 1. It wasn't a good one either. All right. A slight stalemate. Looks on the surface, it would look like Kevin would lose the race to Joe. But I think True Name and Stoneforge Mystic have some things to say. I think
it's all very dependent at the moment on what each of them draw out of their deck. The only problem being is that Kevin is 9 points of damage behind. Stoneforge Mystic getting the Batterskull. Is it just the 2 equipments we've got in this list? It looks like it is.
There's no...
There's a sort of Feast and Famine in the board, but I don't think this is a matchup where you want to be bringing that in either.
What is the matchup where you want to be bringing that in, by the way?
The bug deck with Leovold, Tombstalker.
Wait, so it targets them and they have to discard a card, right?
When it hits them, the player you hit discards a card and you untap all your lands.
So they get targeted from the Leovold.
I'm not sure if it's targeted.
Not targeted? Sure it has to, right?
Well, I think it's just the opponent you hit.
So the third and final Mother of Runes is back. So we're going to put in the Batterskull now. going to be hard. No, it's not, because we'll just, again, this Baleful Strix is just too good. Equip to the Baleful Strix and just start flying over. That'll correct the life totals in Kevin's favour too. He'll go up to 14. Joe will go down to 13.
Yeah, well, we've still got the either the second or the
And a
third.
Pithing Needle, but we're going to see switch over.
Mm.
And in we go for 5. So Pithing Needle Mother Runes will just...
Pithing Needle Mother of Runes would do a lot of work here.
I don't think it's going to matter. The life total swing now is going to be too much for Joe to come back from.
So that's 5 on either side. Joe going down to 13 and Kevin going up to 14.
It's not just the Batterskull, it's the True Name and the Toxic Deluge in his hand, and then whatever else he draws in the meantime, while Joe's got, a Revoker in hand.
Yeah, it's that point where it feels like you're playing against a draft deck when you're playing against Death and Taxes.
I told you, stats matter. Flying matters. First strike matters. Interesting that Kevin's not playing any Fatal Push, huh? He's got just 4 player? Yeah, just 4 player.
Do you think he's trying to play around the Chalice decks that they've got floating around just by minimizing the 1-drops, or is it just how it's been built?
I think he's just actually being clever about it. He's got the Council's Judgment as a catch-all.
Well, the Swords of Plowshare are 4 of them there, and it's a better removal spell than Fatal Push for the most part.
You don't want more removal than just the 4. But maybe in the current meta, he's got a point. I mean, you run into lands a lot in Turbo in Melbourne. What are you going to Fatal Push? I mean, you run into check pile, big deal. You can
look,
Fatal Push one thing, it just comes back.
Marit Large has converted mana cost to less than 0. Ignoring the fact that it doesn't die.
You know, I did this to a lands player. I think he came down from Brisbane, and I Fatal Pushed his Marit Large just as a joke, and he put it in the bin. I'm like, no, it's not how that works. You get to keep it. All right, so here we're going to see True Name Nemesis. God, poor Joe.
The interesting thing is the Toxic Deluge I spoke to about a bit earlier that
was an aggressive port from Joe. So that we've got exactly lethal from the 2 untargetable or the unblockables.
The Toxic Deluge I spoke about earlier that was going to win Kevin the game is now almost uncastable for him because it kills half his board.
Luckily, the bird will continue to live on in its
memory. Bird is the word. The bird is the way.
And that's it. So
shakes out a hand.
Congratulations to Kevin on a fine performance. Esper Stoneblade, what a delight to see this deck doing well again after some misery here at General Games of Turbo Depths and Ant and Show and Tell.
Well, we are going to be...
And we see that. What's it called in Italian, Graham?
It's called Fassato.
Fassato.
And congratulations to Kevin for winning this. Thank you very much for tuning in with us in this Legacy Winner Moat General Games event. We would love for you to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. We're going to see if we can get an interview with Kevin, so we'll be here in a few moments. Hello and welcome back to General Games. We have just finished a great batch of Magic. This was Kevin Ewan here, who was on his Esper Stoneblade deck playing against Death and Taxes. And here it is, one for starter, or Moat in Italian. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did your performance go today?
I think I played really well. I tried to play the best that I could. I haven't really played Legacy a lot recently, so it was hard to figure out what I was playing against. And
Yeah, no, that's understandable. There's a few new decks like Checkpile showing up. What did you play against in the Swiss?
I played Infect.
Yep.
That red prison deck. That
Red Prison, Dragon Stompy?
Yeah, that I got completely destroyed. I had no idea what I was doing with that. But played that. Played Delver, Bug Delver.
Yep.
Or was it Esper? One of them.
One of the older decks?
Yeah, one of the older decks that I kind of knew. And Deaths and Taxes as well.
Yeah.
So.
Any interesting interactions that came up through the day?
Yeah, I had to learn what Will of the Councils did. That's a new
We
card
saw
for
that
me.
in the last match.
Yep. I was like, oh, okay, I had no idea. Yeah, I also learned that Gideon is a legendary, so you should not try and attack into a Caracas with it, which I got punished quite badly in my.
I can imagine that would have happened.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Well, that's great anyway. And is there any particular reason why you chose to go with Esper Stoneblade today, or you just thought it would be the best deck?
Yeah, my mate Hamish lent me most of the cards, and most of the altars were his as well. And I just wanted a break from Delver, which I usually play in every format.
No, that's understandable. Well, congratulations. It was great watching you win that final match, and thanks for coming down today.
Thanks for having me.
And, well, as I said, thank you very much for watching at General Games, and follow us on all our social media channels.